Could you cover what the heck was going on with all of the barriers inside of barriers during the Shibuya incident and what each of them did? Yeah, I got you. So the Shibuya incident was largely set up to capture Gojo, right? To get him in that prison realm, which is going to be a near impossible task, right? So everything that's going on here is to lead to this, to get the best possible conditions to potentially surprise and catch him in the prison realm. So the barriers are just one facet of that. So to boil it down really simply, those barriers were there to facilitate the prime conditions. The first being to cause a bunch of confusion amongst Shibuya that the sorcerers were going to have to deal with, right? But on top of that, they were there to isolate Gojo from other sorcerers whilst surrounding him with a ton of non-sorcerers. And they did that so that Gojo couldn't just freely act. You know, he's so powerful that if he were to just let loose, he would end up taking out a bunch of the non-sorcerers. So they intentionally surrounded him and set this up so that he was at his weakest, if you will. So how did the barriers accomplish this? Well, let's break it down because there's 4 total we need to talk about. And the first is this largest one here. And what its conditions are is it's trapping all of the civilians within Shibuya. No non-sorcerers can escape this. Sorcerers, though, can enter and exit freely. And this is the one that, set everything off, caused the commotion because people were getting trapped. Now, if we come down here, this biggest circle is this one that we were just talking about. This next barrier that you see, its condition was to not let any sorcerers in. So civilians are in this entire area. Sorcerers can chill out here, but they get stopped when they try to reach here. Except Gojo. Gojo is allowed through this one. And this next one here that you see, Gojo is in here as well, and he is not allowed out. So this third barrier is keeping Gojo in this confined area, where again, there are civilians, because there are civilians in this entire circle. And then this last one here is really tiny. It's what I'm on right here in case you can't see it. And this barrier is just like the biggest one. It is preventing any civilians within this space from exiting this space. And so that final smallest barrier is again to surround Gojo with as many people as possible, to restrict his actions and his movements, and to prevent him from hopefully casting a domain expansion. Because if he casts a domain in that small area, which is going to push people out, he could potentially crush the non-sorcerers between the outside of his domain and the inside of that barrier that they cannot escape. And then one final piece of this is because civilians could be in all of those barriers, right? But they obviously wanted as many as possible in that smallest area to restrict Gojo. They had the transfigured humans kind of forcing them down into that funnel. So I hope that helps shed some light on it. As with most things in JJK, this was very complex, but it was all just dominoes on the board, ultimately leading to that perfect scenario to catch Gojo. Anyways, Lazuli, thank you so much for the support, and I will see y'all in the next one.